Today we're catching up with international journalist and athlete Anne-Marie White. We'll take a look at the latest women's sports news from around the globe, and this week's panel guests will discuss women's sports coverage. Hello and welcome to Women in Sport, brought to you by WSN, the Women's Sports Network, where it's all about women's sport from all over the world. At WSN, we're passionate about promoting, supporting and encouraging female athletes of all ages. We will meet inspirational sportswomen, discuss some of the issues facing women throughout sports today and explore gender equality in sports. We will also talk to players and coaches from all over the world as we celebrate women in sports. Now, our first guest today, Anne-Marie White, is an international journalist and athlete who's played netball for over 50 years, competed in the World Triathlon Championship this month, and has won bronze in the World Masters and gold in the Asia Pacific Masters in water polo. Please welcome Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, thanks so much for joining us today. Now, you've competed in netball, life-saving, swimming, javelin, water polo and triathlons. Is there anything I've missed there? It's such a diverse range of sports.
Oh, I'm sure there's some sports that I haven't tried.
Not many.
Well, that's the thing. I've played netball for a long time. I swam, all my life. And you sort of want new challenges. And so when I did javelin, for instance, I was working as a media manager at the World Veterans Athletics Championships, and I was old enough to compete, so I thought I might have a go.
Just takes your eye and you
Absolutely.
Just run with it.
Well, I'm not good at jumping, and I was too little to throw discus and shot put, and I didn't want people seeing me running last. So I thought javelin, and so I asked Joanna Stone, who was then a world champion, could she teach me how to throw the javelin? My first effort landed just 7 metres in front of me, but I got enough to get over 20 metres. So it was the challenge. And the same with the triathlon that I have just finished.
Yes.
At Worlds. It was an age group challenge. I could swim. Everyone can run to some level. But riding that bike, oh, God, that was scary. But it was a challenge. And I figured, why not?
Now, that's a great attitude, I think. Is that something that we need women to embrace more, and young girls as well, to just get out there and have a go, try things?
I think so. When little girls are little tiny girls, they'll have a go at everything. And then sometimes they feel constrained by being a girl does this sort of thing. But if they just got out and had a go, who knows what they could do.
Great idea, yeah. And you've received an Order of Australia Medal and Queen's Honours and Churchill Fellowship for increasing the media coverage of women in sport, as well as the Prime Ministerial Award for your contribution to sport. What did that mean to you? I mean, these are big achievements.
They're very humbling achievements. When I first got the OAM, my small grandchildren thought it meant, oh, Anne-Marie. And that's how I sort of feel my OAM is. It is a very humbling honour, and really I stood on the shoulders of women who came before me to be able to do the increasing media coverage, which I'm very proud of. And the Churchill Fellowship was something that was another step up, because I was able to go overseas and speak to inspirational people who had made a contribution in their area and bring those ideas back into Australia. I talked to Dame Lois Muir, who changed the face of netball in New Zealand. It made netball go from a women's enjoying their sport to part of the fabric of New Zealand.
Absolutely.
And in England, I talked to Baroness Tani Gray, who has changed the face of women's participation in sport with a disability. So those sort of, they're honours, and I'm proud of them, but they are a bridge to being able to increase and encourage people to see women as sportswomen rather than girls having a go at sport.
I mean, you've been overseas, you've seen those fantastic people, you've experienced the things that they've done. How do we as a country compare to other countries so far as women engaging in sport and the media coverage of women in sport?
Well, I guess it's you can't compare it to everybody. There are countries, obviously, that do it far better. There are countries that do it far worse. We are starting to, I think Australians are starting to wake up and realise that our sportswomen are damn good. If you look at, for instance, our results in Olympics, the women far outshine in medals and performances the men. But I think that bringing back our media coverage is not good. Mm-hmm. And we are, for instance, one of the countries I studied was America, where Billie Jean King led a campaign for increasing the media coverage of women in sport. She has such a high profile that really helped. Yeah. But every little bit helps.
Absolutely. And you've been in media and broadcasting 35 years, TV, radio, print. How far have you seen things come in your time, and obviously working on women's exposure as well?
Makes me feel very old when you say 35 years. Well, interestingly, when I first started in media, I started because I'm not a trained journalist. I started because the State Netball Championships were held in Toowoomba, and the local paper didn't deem it worthy of coverage at all. So after 15 minutes of my Wolfie best with that editor, he offered me a job. Hence began my start, and it was my passion for the equality and the journalists and editors taking the responsibility for seeing that women are sports people as equally with men that got me into this 35 years later.
So it's passion that just puts you there, and the ride's gone from there.
Absolutely, passion.
Well, Anne-Marie, that's an incredible story. Thank you so much for your time today. You're an absolute inspiration, and let's just keep driving that engagement and coverage of women in sport.
Excellent. You're welcome.
On this week's Women in Sports News, netball team Sunshine Coast Lightning have defeated the West Coast Fever 62-59 in the Super Netball Grand Final in Perth in front of a record crowd of more than 13,000 supporters. Ash Barty and Coco Vandeweghe have won their first Grand Slam title together, beating Australian Open champions Tamir Babos and Kristina Mladenovic in the US Open women's doubles final. It was a first Grand Slam title for Barty, who had reached the women's doubles finals at all four majors with Casey Delacroix before her former partner retired. Paddling star Jessica Fox has won her second World Cup crown in just 24 hours, winning both the C1 and K1 overall World Cups at the 2018 Canoe Slalom World Cup finals in Spain, ahead of the upcoming World Championships in Rio. Fox will also contest both the K1 and the new Olympic C1 at the 2020 Tokyo Games. In today's Women in Sports panel discussion, we're joined by Anne-Marie White and Women's Sports Network Media Director Rachel Vickery to talk about the lack of women's sports coverage available and what we can do to create more opportunities to celebrate our female athletes. Thank you both for joining me, ladies. Now, should female and male sports people get equal amount of coverage?
Yes, 100%. Of course.
Why not?
Yeah. But if the women keep winning, they deserve more.
Absolutely. Right. And I mean, we do sort of gravitate towards results-based things. Let's face it, Australia loves a winner. But as you said before, Anne-Marie, the women do so well in Olympics, in a lot of our big competitions that we put a lot of weight in. Why do you think it's not there just yet?
Well, I agree that in, say, Olympics and Commonwealth Games, the journalists are focusing on performance, and everyone loves a winner. So when women win, we can do this. But I believe it's all about money. Mm-hmm. Money and the sponsorship for male sports, and that drives TV rights. The TV rights for football are argued over and really fought for. The rights for instance, the very successful netball are nothing like that. Yeah. And in fact, it's based on sponsorship that the network gets during the coverage of the sport. It's also driven by the money that is paid to the male winners, and the disparity of winnings and prize money in so many sports drives that inequality of media coverage.
We just saw the other day, 2019, the World Surf League have put out there, yes, women and men will be earning the same amount of money from 2019 season going on. Is that a real start of something where things will change? Because we see such inequality as tennis is just one of the big ones that you see where women are earning so much less. Are we on the right track?
Well, in fact, in tennis, the Grand Slams are equal pay. And there is a little bit of a discussion point there because women play 3 sets and the men play 5. Mm-hmm. So in that one, we win, yay. But I think that gradually sports are realising that they need, if there is an equality of competition, there should be an equality of pay.
And Rachel, what are the thought processes behind, say, women only playing 3 sets as opposed to the men?
I'll let you answer that one. That sounds like more of a you question.
Well, it's like in past years when the women weren't allowed to run the marathon because, oh my dear, they might get a little bit tired.
Flushed, yes.
And Catherine Switzer running the Boston Marathon as Kay Switzer because she wasn't allowed to run it as a woman until she was unmasked. Of course, it's ridiculous. I think we actually should be playing 5 sets. The women are quite capable of doing that.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's interesting to me. I wonder whether they think it's a lack of entertainment or what the thought process is behind it.
Well, funnily, you should say entertainment because a lot of researchers showed that people prefer to watch women's tennis because the rallies are longer and the shots are more artistic, whereas in the men's competition it's wham, bam, smash. So, yeah. And also there's the glamour of the girls, I guess, but the women's viewing is higher than the men's.
And how do we, Rachel, this would be one for you, I think, maybe. How do we move away from, because when you do look at sponsorship, it's about, oh, she's gorgeous, she is fantastic, yet we're putting her on the front of this or that. If you're not that typical gorgeous woman, you may be fantastic but not get that sponsorship. How do we move that focus from, wow, she's hot, to there's an athlete?
Yeah, to me, I think it's creating more and more platforms where we can shine light and doing things like Women in Sports Show, where we actually focus on women and we give them this platform and we celebrate them. What we're doing here with Women in Sport is we're creating a whole new generation of role models so that, young girls and young women have someone to aspire to that's not a reality star or not a Instagram model. We actually want some real women being role models. And I think the more that we can do that and the more that we give exposure and coverage to women in sports, it doesn't matter what they look like. It won't matter. What will be great is their achievements, and that's what girls will look up to. And we just have to keep continuing to have that conversation with people and really arguing for, more coverage.
Oh,
and healthy role modelling of healthy athletes is so good for girls with the other side of the skinny model and the Kardashian type image of you have to be like this. There are a variety of successful female athletes who range from the tall to the short to the larger to the stronger. And that's really important for young girls, seeing all of these are great.
I mean, the building of the positive body image for young girls is amazing. You don't want them in front of the mirror with their filter on Instagram and doing duck lips. I mean, that's not a healthy body. Most of them you couldn't live up to no matter what you did. I would rather them focusing on women who are achieving great things and who are strong and fit and healthy. I mean, that's what you want young girls and women to look up to. So we just need to keep focusing on that, I think.
And I think that's what we're doing here. Great work from yourself, Rachel, and of course Anne-Marie as well. You've been pushing the envelope for years now, and if we just keep on going, I think we can get there. Slow process, but we're on the move.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, we'd love to hear our viewers' thoughts, so let's keep the conversation going. Jump on our website, it's wsn.org.au, and tell us what you think. Now, on this week's On Location story, we visit the Punk Rockers Roller Derby team at the Eagle Sports Complex. We talk to the captain, Scare Bear, and newest star member, Pulp Friction, to tell us about the Roller Derby.
I'm Pulp Friction, I'm number 8, and I'm a jammer on Punk Rockers.
My name is Marinda Christina Swabrick, and I skate under Slash Your Heart Scare Bear number 32 with Brisbane City Rollers.
It's a game played on roller skates. It's full contact. The jammers have to get past the blockers in order to score points, and you can use contact via legal contact areas on your body, such as shoulders, your legs, hips, and the goal is for the jammer to do as many laps in 2 minutes to get the points. I chose it completely at random. I just wanted to get fit, and I thought roller derby would be a cool sport because I'm very competitive.
I've been playing sports since I was probably about 5, and I haven't necessarily played traditional sports for a girl. A couple of people who had played soccer with me joined Adelaide Roller Derby when they started off, and they were like, "You'll really like this. You're alternative and aggressive. You'll really like this." And I didn't do it because I had soccer. A mate of mine had also seen that there was an intake for roller derby at Brisbane City Rollers. That was in 2011, but now, yeah, this is my 7th year.
I came along to a fresh meat intake and had a lot of fun and was just instantly addicted. I love that it's so inclusive. It's such a community sport, and you know, you've got a whole new family.
I like that it kind of pushes you mentally as well as physically. The sport's constantly evolving as well. Like one strategy comes into play and then someone works out how to shut it down, and so you're constantly evolving with that sport, so it never really gets boring.
So I started in March last year, so about a year and a half. I'm only just still sort of new and I'm still learning so much, and I came up quite quick. It can be mentally tough sometimes, but you know, the fact that everyone's so supportive and so nice, and it's such a family communal spirit, it's really helped me progress.
Oh, hell yeah.
For sure.
I'm the person that was just down in Melbourne playing in a mixed gender tournament, and one of our teams played in the Div 2 Grand Final, and I flew back on Monday, and then Monday afternoon rewatched it on YouTube because I wanted to see it from another point of view.
I watch roller derby whenever I can because, I don't know, it's just so much fun. It always has you like on the edge of your seat, so I don't know, I'm always, whenever I'm watching it, I'm always just yelling like, go, go. So yeah, I'm so enthusiastic.
That's all we have time for today, but join us next week where we'll meet more inspiring female athletes and we'll bring you the latest news on women in sports. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us what you think about women's sports coverage. Is there enough? How can we create a better voice for female athletes? Jump on our website, wsn.org.au, and share your thoughts. You can also submit a video to tell us what's great about your club or sport, and we'll feature it on one of those videos on each episode of Women in Sport. I'm Michelle Anderson. Thanks for joining us for Women in Sport.